Darkness blankets the Kremlin. A convoy of unmarked vehicles speeds through Moscow's empty streets, headlights dimmed, engines almost silent. Inside one of them, a group of ex-intelligence officers whispers nervously, clutching encrypted radios. Tonight is the night. After years of planning, a coordinated coup is unfolding. Their goal: capture President Vladimir Putin before sunrise. Simultaneously, a rogue general diverts troops away from Red Square. Hackers embedded in Moscow attempt to sever communications from the FSB. But then, something goes wrong. One phone call, one insider defection. In a matter of minutes, the rebels are surrounded. The lights of the Kremlin flicker back on. The operation is over. The conspirators vanish into prison cells. The world may never know their names. But why can't Putin simply be overthrown? Like and subscribe for more. Also, don't forget to hit that notification bell for more history documentaries. Please watch the video till the end, as good interaction would help the performance of the video and the growth of my channel massively. The roots of control. The Yeltsin legacy. To understand Putin's grip on power, we must start in the 1990s. Boris Yeltsin, the first president of the Russian Federation, came into power amidst the collapse of the Soviet Union. His rule was marked by chaos, hyperinflation, and the rise of oligarchs who bought state assets in rigged privatizations. By the end of the decade, Yeltsin was deeply unpopular, frail, and increasingly dependent on a tight circle of loyalists and businessmen. In 1999, Yeltsin unexpectedly named a little-known former KGB officer, Vladimir Putin, as prime minister. By New Year's Eve, Putin was acting president. Many believed he was a temporary placeholder. Instead, he became the architect of a new autocracy. The power structure, building a vertical of power. From the early 2000s, Putin moved quickly to centralize authority. This process was known as the vertical of power. Regional governors, once elected, were now appointed by the Kremlin. The media, once vibrant and often critical, was brought under state control or pressured into silence. Independent television channels, like NTV, were shut down or taken over. Key oligarchs who opposed Putin, such as Mikhail Khodorkovsky, were imprisoned or exiled. Others, like Roman Abramovich, pledged loyalty and retained their wealth. By 2004, Putin's control over Russia's political and economic life was near absolute. The silencing of dissent. Opposition voices were methodically dismantled. Critics like Anna Politkovskaya and Boris Nemtsov were assassinated under suspicious circumstances. Alexei Navalny, perhaps the most prominent contemporary opponent, was repeatedly jailed, poisoned, and eventually imprisoned in a remote penal colony. Protests were met with brutal force. Laws were passed to label NGOs and media outlets as foreign agents. Surveillance, propaganda, and fear kept dissent in check. Even social media became a battlefield of misinformation and repression. The loyalty network, friends, family, and the FSB. Putin's inner circle is composed of longtime friends from his KGB days, his hometown of St. Petersburg, and former colleagues from the security services. This network includes powerful figures like Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu, National Guard Chief Viktor Zolotov, and intelligence bosses like Alexander Bortnikov. The Federal Protective Service, a secretive elite security agency, protects Putin and monitors the loyalty of other officials. His extended network controls the media, state corporations, and even the judiciary. Personal loyalty often outweighs merit, ensuring no one in his orbit can challenge him without risking their life or freedom. Manufacturing popularity, media, and myth. Putin's image as a strong, patriotic leader is carefully cultivated. State TV presents him as the savior of Russia, standing against Western decadence and NATO aggression. Carefully staged events, like tranquil hikes in Siberia or shirtless horseback rides, serve to reinforce his virility and dominance. Polling in Russia is heavily influenced by fear and state messaging, but still suggests significant support for Putin, especially outside major cities. His annexation of Crimea in 2014 caused his popularity to skyrocket, cementing his role as the defender of Russian greatness. Systemic resilience. Is overthrow even possible? Putin's regime is not a one-man show. It is a deeply embedded system that rewards loyalty and punishes rebellion. The military, security forces, courts, and major industries are under centralized control. Any attempt to remove him must face not just one man, but an entire apparatus designed to prevent change. Even if Putin were assassinated or died suddenly, the system would likely replace him with someone similar, perhaps even more hardline, rather than collapse. The fear of Western-style chaos and liberalism still haunts many Russians, especially older generations. Comparison with Yeltsin. Did he have this much power? Yeltsin ruled in a transitional period when democratic institutions were weak, but not entirely suppressed. Governors were elected, media was freer, and multiple political parties had real influence. Putin, by contrast, consolidated power to such an extent that no real opposition remains in the mainstream political arena. His dominance far exceeds anything Yeltsin ever had. The future of democracy in Russia. If Putin were removed, it's unclear whether democracy would flourish or flounder. Decades of autocracy, propaganda, and political repression have eroded civic institutions. Many Russians associate liberal democracy with the chaos of the 1990s. There is little grassroots infrastructure to support a rapid transition. Moreover, Putin has created a constitution that allows him to rule until 2036. Whether through legal manipulation or sheer force, he has made peaceful transition unlikely. What do Russians really want? Polls suggest a complex picture. While many urban, younger Russians oppose Putin, large swaths of the population see him as a stabilizing force. The memory of the Soviet collapse and Yeltsin-era dysfunction fuels a desire for strong leadership, even at the cost of freedom. Many Russians are also influenced by the state narrative that frames Putin as the protector against foreign enemies. How should the West respond? The West has often struggled to formulate an effective response to autocrats like Putin. Sanctions have hurt Russia's economy, but failed to destabilize the regime. Direct confrontation only reinforces the Kremlin's narrative of Western hostility. A more strategic approach might involve supporting independent media, protecting dissidents, and engaging with the Russian public through soft power and culture, offering an alternative vision rather than just condemnation. Conclusion: the iron grip of power. Putin's continued rule is no accident. It is the result of 2 decades of calculated moves, suppressing dissent, centralizing authority, cultivating loyalty, and manipulating perception. Russia's political system has been redesigned to prevent exactly what some hope for: a popular uprising or democratic transition. Overthrowing Putin is not just about removing one man. It's about dismantling an entire system. Until that system changes, the Kremlin's lights will stay on, and the guards will remain at their posts. What do you think? Write your opinion and version of the story in the comments below. Please be polite and kind. If you want to know what would have happened if Trump was assassinated successfully, click on the video on the left. Thanks for watching.